If you're a real estate agent who knows that you should be farming, you should be entering a new market, but you're not sure exactly how to start, or maybe you've tried it before and you didn't get the results that you wanted, you're in for a treat. After listening to my conversation with Jason Gruner today, you will have a precise step-by-step blueprint to, one, determine whether or not the desired area that you're looking at is really built to generate the results that you're looking for. Number two, you're going to learn the types of collateral that really grabs that homeowner's attention. Three, you're going to learn how many pieces to send out, how often to send, and how to measure those results. I'm excited for you. Let's jump into the interview with Jason Gruner. All right, Jason, welcome to the show. Are you ready to collaborate with Cole and help other agents?
Yeah, absolutely, Cole. Looking forward to it.
Very cool, very cool. Heard so many things about you, and I've watched so many different videos on things that you're doing. And there's three things. There's three different areas that I would say you've absolutely mastered. You're crushing it. You've got the geo-farming, you've got your video distribution process and how you've incorporated it to really kind of next level your value prop to your sellers. And that is a show all by itself. And then number three, some of the things that you've talked about, the way that you utilize Google to essentially kind of follow your prospective buyers and sellers around throughout their like R&D search when they're searching for a home. I mean, as much as I'd love to really dig into all three of those, I know our friends listening would walk away with essentially the best business plan ever. We're only going to focus on one. I think we only have time today to focus on one, and it's a good one. It is one that you are absolutely next leveling, and that's geo-farming. So I'm excited for you to unpack that for us today. First, really quickly though, just a brief background. You're in the Nashville, Tennessee market. You're the number one luxury agent in Tennessee. What do you attribute to being the number one agent in Tennessee, and why is farming a critical component of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the number one global luxury agent with Cole Banker in the state of Tennessee. There's obviously a couple thousand of us, and got there this past year for 2024. You know, I moved to Nashville about 8 years ago, and I got serious of real estate about 2.5 years ago. I'd been in Eastern North Carolina, done a ton of transactions over there, had a very, very, very small team, and we always focused on trying to like take over a neighborhood. So I knew when I came to Nashville, I just really wanted to go as deep as possible on specific neighborhoods because I knew with enough frequency and repetition, I could establish myself as the best known agent in those neighborhoods. Just because I didn't have a deep and wide relationship base in the Nashville area. So I was essentially starting from scratch about 2.5 years ago. So I knew I had to come up with a way to attract, buyers and sellers using marketing. And I've just always found just some of the mentors and people that I've studied, just the more niche I can go, the deeper you can go, and it allows you to really be perceived as the expert in that subject matter or that neighborhood very, very quickly compared to like a shallow and wide approach.
Yeah. Well, so something that you said, very, very impressive, and I want to make sure that our friends heard that because I didn't even know that. So you became the number one luxury agent with Cole Banker. And you've been there in that market for about 2.5 years.
Yeah, I've physically been in Tennessee for 8, and I did a few deals the first year I got here, but went on a bunch of side quests and had a couple different businesses, but then jumped back into like, all right, real estate's the thing, let's go full time. Right at 2.5 years ago, and I've gone from essentially 0 transactions up to, the top agent, just over 30 million in 2024.
Okay, I was not aware of that. That's impressive, Jason. That's awesome. So you're gonna unpack your farming journey for us. You're gonna help us understand kind of what you do, why you do it, when you do it. But let me ask you this first: what have you found that does not work very well when it comes to farming?
Sure, I think the broad general stuff without a call to action doesn't do very well. And I think that inconsistency is probably the thing that kills more farming projects for people than anything else. You can line up a line of agents 1,000 people deep of like, oh, I sent 2 postcards, didn't get much response, farming wasn't for me. But it's the agents that stay consistent over and over and over again. Just because the homeowners see you over and over and over again, eventually you become top of mind for those folks. So I just say that inconsistency is the biggest mistake that people make. and just sending like a branded postcard like, hey, I'm Jason at Coldwell Banker, call me and start packing, stuff like that.
Right.
I don't think is
Doesn't
very
do much.
effective. So I think you need that dog whistle copy of like, hey, I'm speaking to the homeowners in Fairview Plantation. They pick it up, they're like, oh, that's my neighborhood. What's going
Like
on
I
here?
live there. Yeah. Yeah. What and we're going to get to the collateral that you send out and why. But let me ask you this: what was the turning point for you as it relates to farming? When did you notice that, like, wow, this is actually working? This is starting to produce some results.
Sure. I mean, I've done this previously when I was in North Carolina. But when I moved here, the piece that I didn't know if it was going to work in Nashville, because it's like I worked in Eastern North Carolina. I'm not sure. Nashville's a bigger market. It's more competitive. There's some higher end stuff. I'm just not sure that people in $5 million houses are going to reply to postcards. But when you put a message on there, and this is from Dean Jackson, it's one of his postcards. It's the monthly home price report for that neighborhood. So I'd send out, and I've got a bunch of these going out tomorrow, the Oak Hill April 2025 homes price report. I get a 1 to 3% response rate on that postcard every month I send it out. And I've had celebrities give me all their information. I've had people in $10 million houses in Nashville do complete form fill outs, name, email, phone number. Please send me the report. Tell me how much the homes are actually selling for. And I thought like, oh man, this high-end luxury stuff, it's probably not going to be as effective. It's just as effective as the stuff I was doing in Eastern North Carolina with $250,000 house.
Wow.
That was the big thing for me, just because I built up this database of people that are in the market, at least considering thinking about or starting that process of thinking about selling. And it's just such a high response rate on this because, again, every agent, you can line them up. I sent out 1,000 postcards and got one phone call, and it was some old lady telling me to take me off the list. Versus if I send 1,000 postcards, I know I'm going to get 10 to 30 responses when I do that.
That's pretty huge. That's a huge response rate.
Yep.
And we're going to come back to that
Sure.
specific postcard, the price report, because I know that one's huge. But before we get there, if someone's listening right now, if an agent is considering a market or a neighborhood or something, will you break down I think you've got 3 or 4 criteria when you're considering a market, and I think that's imperative.
Absolutely. So I like to run through 5 criteria in terms of looking at should I try to market this neighborhood. The first one is I want to see at least $10 million in transactions in the last 12 months. I'll get a lot of people calling like, I want to farm my neighborhood. There's 42 houses in it. It's like, probably not worth doing. You should absolutely try to meet all your neighbors. I mean, just go have a barbecue and have them all over if it's only 42 people. But, so it's got to be at least $10 million in trailing 12 months closed transactions. And then I like to see at least a 5% turnover. So 5% of the homes are being sold every year. I want it to be in an area that's growing. Just for Nashville, that's literally everything within an hour and a half radius. And for most of the Southeast, we typically run into that. That's never an issue. The fourth one is I think you should be excited about it. I've done these and like the numbers all add up and I'll send the first postcard and then I'll start getting calls and I'll be like, man, that's like an hour and 15 minutes away. I know, I think it's a good neighborhood. It's just, I don't get excited about it. So you're just not going to follow through as if it's like in the neighborhood you live in, if those numbers
Great
work.
point.
So I think being excited about it is a big part. And then the last one is, it's not definitely a deal breaker, but we try to do ones without a dominant agent. I'd say a dominant agent takes 30% of the listings in the neighborhood. And obviously you can pull that from MLS in most states. And it's rare that you'll find a neighborhood where one agent does 30% of the business.
That's a pretty huge market share.
It's a massive market share. Anything less than that, I still think that there's huge opportunity. Even when there is a dominant agent, that dominant agent's probably not sending a postcard a week and doing a bunch of digital marketing. They've just been there a long time and know a bunch of folks, so they can absolutely be displaced.
Yeah. Well, when you think about it, let's just say an area that's producing 100 sales per year. And out of that 100 sales, there's an agent that's dominant at 20%. There's still 80 sales.
They don't sell 80% of the homes.
Exactly. Yeah, there's still 80% or 80 of those homes, if we're using 100 as a unit to go after, right? So that dominant agent per se is not as dominant as one might think.
Yeah.
So yeah, not to be intimidated by that. Okay, you mentioned your price report postcard and some of the other things, and I know you've got an amazing process. I already know the majority of it, and that's why I wanted you to come on here. So I really appreciate you taking time to do this because it's really, really cool. So unpack that for us. What does that look like? That you've got the criteria. You're going to go after whatever Tiburon is the neighborhood or area you're going to go after. What do you start doing from that point forward?
Sure, absolutely. I think there's two things that I kind of want to talk about first before I break down the individual pieces. It's kind of two frameworks or thought processes that I go through. The first one I like to do is if I'm going into a neighborhood or I'm working with an agent that wants to go into a neighborhood, the first thing I do is like, let's project how many dollars worth of commissions will be paid over the next 10 years. Because if you look at a neighborhood, I like to do 10 just so it's a number that you're like, oh wow, if I get 10 or 30 or 40% of that, that's an incredible number. I looked at a neighborhood down in Thompson Station, just south of Nashville, with an agent last week. It was 450 homes, sells about 25 homes a year. Average price is $1 million. So it's 25 million in volume. Over 10 years is 250 million in volume. It means that most likely those homeowners will pay $15 million in commissions over the next decade. So that's just such a massive opportunity. It's not like, oh, I'm going to this neighborhood with 450 homes. It's I'm going after $15 million worth of commissions. And I just want to get the mindset. Biggest slice of that pie as possible. The other thing I think I think everybody's heard that like if you're going to farm a neighborhood, you really need to be patient. You need to be consistent. It's going to take you 12 to 18 months to do so. And I don't agree with that in 2025. I think the world has sped up so much where we're all watching 15-second videos and it's boom, 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 boom. I think the strategy I like to take is let's plan out a 12-month super aggressive campaign. Lots of direct mail, digital, video, social, email. Have your marketing budget for that full year and then compress that into 12 weeks.
I love that.
Because it just allows you, if you're going to say like, hey, this is a good neighborhood, I really like it, I'm willing to spend $10,000 on it. You spread that out over 12 months, you're spending, $900 a month, $850, whatever that math works out to. You're dabbling, you're in the shallow end with it. But if you compress that into 12 weeks and you're putting a postcard in their mailbox every week for 12 weeks straight, and they're seeing you on Facebook every day and Instagram every other day, and when they go on YouTube, they see you. And when they go on the Drudge Report, they see a Google display ad of you talking about their neighborhood over and over and over again. It really allows you to go deep rather than shallow and wide. And since you already have identified the sellers, you know who you're going after. It's not expensive to try to market to 500 people. It's expensive to try to market to all of Nashville. But it's not expensive to try to market to the homeowners in Tiburon or whatever the neighborhood you said was. So it allows you to go really, really, really deep. And the analogy I like is all the money's in the deep end. Like everybody wants to play in the shallow end and pick up some pennies and stuff like that. But all the big money is down in the deep end. And I think when you compress that 12-month marketing campaign into 12 weeks, it allows you to go really, really deep. And the other side of it is like, the reality is like, it might not work. You might not be the perfect fit for that neighborhood. If you're a 22-year-old agent and you want to go after a neighborhood full of $4 million luxury homes, maybe you can pull it off, but there's a chance it might not be the right match. I'd rather an agent figure that out in 3 months than spend an entire year figuring that process out.
Yeah.
So I just think the ability of like to get a quick answer and a quick result, and also the ability to go deep. I love that concept of just taking 12 months and compressing it into 12 weeks. I think that's a huge advantage, and it allows you to move fast. Plus, it just speeds up the whole process and the likelihood. I mean, the thing is, you get one listing, and then it's off to the races. I mean, your marketing's paid for the whole year, and it's just, okay, this is going to work. And they get excited about it, and that just snowball starts a whole lot earlier when you compress that time frame.
Yeah, and I just think about it from the saturation perspective. I mean, if you're and I want to make sure our friends listening caught that. So you're sitting down, you're doing your normal, what most agents would do in a planning, budgeting, collateral pieces, everything over a 12-month period. You're doing all that. So just like normal, but then you compress that down into 12 weeks.
100%.
And you're sending everything that you would send over 12 months. You're sending that weekly instead of monthly.
Yep, and
And
obviously you tweak some of it. You're not going to send the October postcard in April just because
well,
it's.
sure.
But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
100%. You know, I just think the best thing you can do is stack up 12 postcards to send out, and then stack up all your social media content, videos, and emails to really hit in that 12-month window or 12-week window.
Yeah. And I think another analogy that might resonate with some of us is either like Facebook ads or Google ads or something like that. You can set, and for anyone who's done this before, I'm sure you have, you can set a budget with, we'll use Facebook. Okay, I want to spend $500 on this specific ad, and you can either spend that $500 and have Facebook run that ad for you over a month period, which means it might run maybe a couple of times a day, or you can shorten that into maybe a 1 week or 2 week period where it's getting a whole lot more exposure and more people are seeing you more consistently over and over and over. So you're spending the exact same amount. You're saturating it, and I think your effectiveness, like you said, is just Jason's everywhere, right? I mean,
we see you everywhere is the most common response I get when I wind up in a neighborhood.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes total sense. I love the two different types of framework. I mean, that looking at it from what kind of commissions could this area generate over the next 10 years? That's a whole different way of looking at it. That's like, now you're like, I want a piece of that. I know that that's going to be generated, and that's what I'm chasing instead of just
so many neighborhoods where that number's well into 7 and 8 figures.
Yeah,
and they're not, and these are not like 5,000 home neighborhoods. You just do the math, and it's there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Jason. Now that we got our friends excited about the about the framework and looking at the commissions and whatnot, let's talk about what you're sending and why. What do you start out with?
So if I'm starting from scratch, I don't have a listing in the neighborhood. I like to set up that cadence of those first 12 postcards over 12 weeks. And we'll just break it down week 1, 2, 3, and 4 for each month. So the first week of the month, I like to send out the Oak Hill Homes Price Report for April 2025. And again, this comes from Gene Jackson. He wrote this. And it's just, if you're curious about how much homes are actually selling for in Oak Hill, I've put together a free report that shows every home sold over the last 12 months. Go to oakhillhomesreport.com. You can download a free copy of the report. The report can be as fancy as you want. It can be an MLS link that you send them, or you can put together a full fancy PDF that shows those. You can create a video on exactly what happened. All of those things are available. It really just comes down to how much effort you want to put into it. I usually just film, we mentioned this before we started, the Loom thing. I'll sit down and just do an MLS search of what's sold in Oak Hill and kind of talk through that and give my spin on it. Obviously, I know the area really, really well. Which is kind of table stakes for this. If you're going to try to go into a neighborhood and be the neighborhood expert, you should probably spend a couple weeks figuring out what's going on there. We'll go through some open houses, walk through some product, go for a run through the neighborhood, just so you can get a full understanding of what's there. So of the 4 postcards for the month, I always like to start with that market report postcard that has a direct call to action of go download this market report. I like the concept of the market report because it's something that's already put together. It's not, hey, if you want to know how much your home is worth, because I think everybody just has that in their mind, like, oh, 92 realtors are going to call me as soon as I fill that out.
Right.
Versus like, oh, this guy, he knows our neighborhood. He's just going to send me the report. And someone who raises their hand for something like that is potentially a pretty likely seller at some point in the near future.
So on that particular card, you're not putting any sales, any addresses, anything like that?
I like that one, the first one of the month, to have no data on it, just offering that report. If you've got a neighborhood that has like a monumented entrance, like a fancy entrance with a Stonehenge or Tiburon or whatever on the sign, that's great to put on the front of the card just because they're like, oh, this is for me, and they're going to look at it. Well, what's this? Okay, gotcha. So I love to do that one as the first one. The second one, I love to do a branded piece. So it's going to be a branded piece specifically to me as the agent. I like to tell a story of some success I've had with a previous listing. And then I like to link that so they can click a QR code or go to a simple URL where they can watch a longer form video about a previous success story I had for a homeowner that's somewhat similar to that neighborhood. Again, if I've never sold a home in the neighborhood, just pick something that you've done in the past, tell that story of how you were successful with it, and just use that. Again, I'm not really concerned with how many people go and watch the video. It's great if they do. I use that video in 15 other places in my business, but really, I just want to put my face in their mailbox again that second week. On the third week, I like to put a branded market data postcard. So that's going to be kind of what you were describing. Hey, here's the 4 homes that sold in Oak Hill last month. All the data that you can legally put on there. In Tennessee, we can kind of do whatever. I know Texas is a little bit different. But just all that market data, and like these homes recently, so we saw these homes sell in Oak Hill in the month of March. And it has my face on it. It's branded to me. Again, I just want the people in that neighborhood to start thinking, oh, Jason, okay. And a lot of them will start to associate. Obviously, you don't say this, but they'll just be like, oh, wow, Jason in sales, Jason sells Oak Hill. Got it. And it just gets that in their mind more than anything else. Just again, I want to be in their mailbox in weeks 2, 3, and 4 with a piece that has my face on it. On week 4, I like to do another branded postcard, and if I can tie it to a story, that's even better. I recently sold this home for $30,000 over list price. Let me tell you how I did it. I recently spent $10,000 on marketing to get this hard to sell home off the market. Whatever the case may be, just some sort of story. I like to, if I was a new agent and I was going to sit down with this, I'd try to come up with 6 branded postcards to fill those postcards for week 2 and week 4. Week 1, each month, I want to send the market report call to action postcard. And week 3, I want to send the branded market data. So a given month is going to be week 1, market report, call to action, direct response. Week 2 is going to be branded. Week 3 is going to be a branded market data postcard that shows the home sales and has your face on it. And then week 4 is going to be another branded one. The only change I'll make is if I get a listing, I just think those are the best postcards you can put in front of homeowners. And whenever I take a listing, I like to do 5 postcards for that listing. I want to do one coming soon. I want to do one just listed. I want to do one when it's under contract. I want to do one when it's sold. And then I want to do a success story about that sale. So what I do is I start replacing the branded ones with postcards about the individual listings. Because I could probably come up with 26 branded postcards talking about stories and stuff like that. But once they start seeing like, oh, here's Jason, he just listed this. Here's Jason, that went under contract. And I try to use a different picture of the house on each of those postcards, even though it's the same listing. Because then they just start to associate. Again, they're not going to remember, 123 Huckleberry Street. And then it's, that's the same one. Now they see a different picture of the house, like, oh, Jason did another one. Oh, Jason did another one. It's the same house 5 times. But just those different pictures, again, they start to associate you with all the activity in the neighborhood, which is what we're trying to go after.
So let's say that you don't get a listing in that neighborhood, then you're essentially for those first 12 weeks, those first 3 months, it's rinse and repeat. You're going to go price report. You're going to tell a story, kind of a branded.
Yep.
And number 3 is like a market data update. Is that right?
Yep, and I like to call it a branded market data. So it's got your face, your company's info on it, but here are the homes that sold in Oak Hill.
Okay. And then week number 4 is another branded kind of tell the story. Is that right?
100%.
So when you're telling the story, do you have the story on the postcard, or is it a link to, say, a video or a download or something like that?
I like to have kind of it's almost like a YouTube thumbnail on the front. Just something, it's got your face on it. It has the highlights of the story. I spent $31,000 to sell this listing. And then on the back, probably has a picture of the house. And then maybe like the first paragraph of the description that tells the story, but makes you kind of want to learn more about it. And then you give a couple of options. They can scan a QR code, click a link. Not click a link, obviously, because it's a postcard, but just a simple link where they can go to and then watch that full story if they want to learn.
Now, when they go to that, are you using anything like a lead magnet or anything to capture any, or are you just kind of, here it is and letting them watch it?
So on the branded stories, I'm more concerned with if they go and watch it, that we're going to cookie them. So I like to host it on my website. And then I've got the Google Pixel on there and the Meta Pixel on there. So I can then follow them around with YouTube videos, Google display ads, ads on Facebook, and ads on Instagram.
Okay. I like that. And that's kind of getting into that number 3 thing that you've mastered, that could be a whole nother show, but you're kind of introducing that here in in your Geo-Farming.
Sure.
And I think that's genius. And I think we can have some more information on that in the description down below the interview here, because that is just, that blew me away. The things that you're doing with that.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Just, I mean, before they came and changed the rules on Facebook where everything's got to be a 15-mile radius, you could really hyper local target people like and be really confident that it was the right folks. But they changed the rules, so we all had to change kind of our approach to it. So if we're going to spend the money to send these postcards and brand, if we can get those people online somewhere, then we can build a custom audience on those platforms. So again, they get the postcard, they go watch a video, they see a Facebook ad, they see an Instagram, and those ads follow them around. It's just, and again, no other agents are doing this. So again, you're doing it and you're branding it to their neighborhood. I mean, it's just such a massive return, and the remarketing stuff is so cheap, is laughably cheap. Like once you've got someone in a custom audience, I mean, on a new neighborhood, I spend $1 a day on Facebook and $1 a day on Instagram. I mean, it's like pennies, like in the big scheme of things.
So what it would help me understand, what does that look like? Just high level, if you're going to track somebody, what does that even mean?
Yep. So you'll put it like Google, and the easiest way to do this is just go to Google or YouTube. Somebody's made a video about how to do it. So you're just going to take a little piece of code and have the person who runs your website, or if you're doing it yourself, you're going to take that piece of code and put it into your website. So you'll know if they've been on that specific page on your website. And there's one for Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram. And there's one for Google, which will be the Google Display Network and also YouTube. The other thing is, if you get them to watch it, like if that story comes with a long form video that's on YouTube, if they watch that YouTube video, Google knows it. So then you can just run another custom audience or pile all these folks into one audience of just anybody who's watched this video. Put them in the custom audience so we can start following them around with more ads.
That's that's a way to really just kind of shadow them, if you
100%.
will, right?
I mean, listen, if you go and we go look at socks on Amazon, like you're going to see ads for socks for the next 30 days.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So why wouldn't we do the same thing for housing?
I have so many cool socks right
Yeah,
now.
absolutely.
Because it just pops up all the time. So how are you tracking engagement when somebody? Like, how do you track how effective, if you go into a new neighborhood or a new market and you're in week 10 of your 12-week, I'm going to saturate it and see how this goes. What kind of engagement are you looking for? How do you measure that?
Yep, I'd like to see at least a 1% response rate per month. So if I've got 1,000 people in the neighborhood that I'm mailing to, after 3 months, I'd like to have at least 30 people at a minimum who have raised their hand to get something of value, most likely the home's price report for a specific month.
Okay.
I think that's the floor. If you don't get that, something's wrong. Like the website's not set up right, or the landing page. I've done, 50 versions of this and have yet to have one that didn't produce.
Really? Okay.
It's just really, really effective. And again, you might mail for a month and get 0. If it's a 300 home neighborhood, like that's just statistically could happen. But if you're mailing 500 to 1,000 postcards, something's wrong if you're not getting a 1% response rate.
Okay. And are you able to look at that just because of the hits that you're getting on that site that are a result from those cards? Or do you have like a Google Doc where you or a team member is tracking the results? How are you seeing these results?
Sure. So we'll get, and that result will be not just like in terms of like how many people go to the website. I'll keep an eye on it just to make sure there's actual activity. But all I really care about is how many people fill out the full form requesting the report. Okay. So that 1%, I'd like to see 1% giving me name, email, phone number, home address, all, like basically full data. So I've got all their information.
Okay.
That's the 1% I like to see. And I've set it up where it all goes into a Google spreadsheet and then like I use Follow Up Boss. So they wind up in there and we track them and tag them.
Use Follow Up Boss for that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you've got the one card that they can just go on and look to see what kind of activity's been going on. Sure. You have another card where they're actually filling in information because they're curious about what their own home is worth.
So I don't do a whole lot of the direct value for individual homeowners. I just think that I think the conversion rate on those is so much lower just because the walls are so much higher for a home seller. Again, I don't go to Rocket Mortgage to fill out whoever does the Home Loan Depot or whoever does one of those sites where it goes to like 5 different loans, because I know I'm going to get 1,000 phone calls from a loan officer.
Yep.
But if the loan officer that I use in Nashville reaches out to me and says like, hey, I put together a home loan report, this should give your clients everything you need for April. It's like, yeah, give me that. That's great. So if I can have something very specific, I just think it's less friction. It feels less threatening. So it tends to get higher response rates.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So as far as tracking, you have everything kind of feeds into Follow Up Boss. You've got some things that are talking to each other, and that's essentially, is that a CRM that you're using?
Yeah, Follow Up Boss CRM, and then we'll send a monthly email with the market report. Usually I do a video along with it where I'll just film myself looking through the MLS on my desktop with me in the corner, talking through it, a couple written paragraphs about it in the email as well, and then a link to the MLS where they can go check everything out. And then I also put in a call to action. I do a super signature on all the emails, which is just, here's three ways I can help you today. And this is at the bottom of the email when I send it. The first one is a pinpoint price analysis, which is just a CMA, a home evaluation on their pricing. If you want to know exactly how much I think your home would bring in today's market, just reply to this email with pinpoint price analysis, because I'll have all their data. I can look it up. The other one's a room by room review. I'll come over to your house, let you know different improvements you can make. If you were going to put it on the market, what'll get you the most bang for your buck? That's just a listing appointment.
Yeah.
And then the third one is like, hey, if you'd like to tap into my silent market, I work with a number of builders and investors who are always looking for off-market properties. If you'd like a hassle-free home sale, I'd be happy to let you know how much my investors would pay for your house, which is really just a cash offer program, just framed a little differently.
Okay. The super signature, you just gave us a quick class on something completely different, but that's a huge tip right there. If you're listening right now, you're not familiar with the super signature, we'll include a link in the description below that will just take you to an example of what that looks like. But that's genius. I heard that from, was it Sharon?
Probably Sharon. He got it from Dean Jackson.
Oh, that's a Dean Jackson.
I've heard Sharon say that. I got this from Dean Jackson. So
okay.
And I love Dean's stuff. He's incredibly smart, and a lot of this kind of initially started from his stuff.
Very cool. Somebody listening right now who, man, Jason, they know that they should be farming. They've thought about it. Maybe they even tried it. And like you said, the consistency, they tried it one piece for 3 or 4, even 5 months, and nothing really happened. So maybe they're afraid to start over. Maybe they're overwhelmed or intimidated by, we talked about earlier, another agent that they think owns that market. What would your advice be to them?
Sure. Experts get paid more.
That's it.
I just think the problem with real estate is everybody wants to be a generalist. Because they want to say yes to everything. For me, I work in South Nashville. If you call me about East Nashville, I can fake my way through it. If you call me about Murfreesboro, I don't know where anything is. If you call me about Franklin, Tennessee, I know a little bit here and there. But if you call me about Oak Hill or Forest Hills or 12 South, if you tell me the street, I'll tell you the last 2 homes that sold on it. And it does a couple things for you when you become an expert on a small area. One, your confidence level just goes off the charts. Because everybody calls you and they're going to tell you the homes that sold in their neighborhood and how much stuff is sold for. But when you have the actual data and you research it and you look at it weekly or monthly, you're just at a different level in terms of your confidence and competence in that specific neighborhood. So it really sets you apart, one, from everybody else, and the homeowners pick up on it extremely quickly. When someone calls me about a specific area, they're like, oh, we're over on Ackland Avenue. We think our home's worth this. It's like, well, the last 3 that sold are this one for this, this one for this, this one for this. They're just like, oh, okay, well, you know what you're talking about. So, you're the expert instantly when you go deep on a neighborhood. So my advice I'm a little bit older. I've been doing it for 20 years. But so a lot of the younger agents will come to, what do I need to do? It's just pick a niche. Pick a neighborhood, go as deep as you possibly can. And the great thing about real estate is we're not studying rocket science or brain surgery. In terms of a neighborhood that sells 30 or 40 homes a year, you can learn all that stuff and become really comfortable with it in a weekend.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of research and just try to learn everything you can about a neighborhood and really attack that. Because again, those are the happiest agents in the world. The agents that dominate a neighborhood. It's I get phone calls from people wanting to list the stuff a block away from me. That's 1,000 times better than having to drive an hour and 15 minutes to a listing appointment.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, this isn't rocket science or anything like that. To become the expert in that particular market or area, all the data is available. It's all free. The data is all there. So what would you suggest an agent start doing today if they wanted to launch into their desire? They've made the decision. They're not overwhelmed. They're fired up. They're excited about that area.
Yep.
What would you encourage them to do to start?
I'd film the April 2025 homes price report for their neighborhood. Just
Okay.
go through the data, everything that transacted in the month of March, talk about it on camera. And then if you get comfortable with that, I'd put that out there. I'd put it out on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, put it everywhere. And then I'd send a postcard to that neighborhood advertising that free market report. Send them
Okay.
to a landing page that says, if you'd like to get this month's free home price report for that neighborhood, go to this website. Set up a simple landing page where they can give you their information, and then just send them that video on YouTube and start there. Again, they're going to give you their full information. And again, I hesitate to do much outbound just because I don't enjoy it. But I know if I did more, I'd probably make more. So like if you're in a neighborhood and like this is it for you, like this is how we're gonna make it work. Those leads come in. It's not crazy just to like give them a quick call. Hey Cole, this is Jason. Saw your request to the market report. I'm gonna send you over a link real quick. Were you thinking about selling? You're just curious on your home's value? Just anything you can do. I'm not gonna make the outbound phone calls because like that's just not for me. I'd rather them call me eventually. I'd rather wait 6 months for them to call me than make an outbound phone call. But there's a lot of things. I just think if you can get that and start building those relationships with the people in your neighborhood, 30 to 40% market share is not a crazy number to wind up with after 12 months. You're probably not going to get in the 12 weeks. I feel pretty confident you'll have a really good shot at getting a listing those first 12 weeks. But over a 12-month period, I just think that dominant position is 100% available in most cases.
Yeah, yeah. I think the odds of someone getting if not an actual listing, a really solid lead or leads within that 12-week period, if you're hitting them every week for 12 weeks, I think those odds go way up.
Oh, a million percent.
Yeah, for sure. Very sure. Yeah. Okay, I got two questions for you. Two-question lightning round, if you will. Well, first of all, so I actually found some of those videos that you've done, like a market report on YouTube. So I'm going to include some of those if you're okay with it.
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to include some of those in the description below, so our friends listening will have an idea of exactly what you're saying and how you're saying it and kind of what that looks like. And if you have an example of maybe a postcard that you've sent, maybe just send me a screenshot or something. I'll include that in the description as well. Sure. So I think the removing the friction, just like we want to remove friction from prospects, right? If we can help some of our realtor friends, our agent friends, remove some of that, gosh, what do I do? Remove the tired headness of trying to figure everything out, and we can just say, hey, here, look, just do this. Even use Jason's name and information if you'd like to. I'm sure he'd appreciate that because he'll get the lead. I'm just kidding. But if we can remove like all the guesswork and just, hey, here, then I think that'll help our friends. So that'd be great if you don't mind sharing that with me.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, 2-question lightning round. What's your favorite tech tool that you think other agents should know about?
Sure, I'm sure most people are going to say something AI related, but I just think the most powerful one for me that has helped me kind of duplicate myself is Loom. Just screen share, screen capture. If I ever have a client that's like, hey, we're kind of curious how much your home is worth, I'll go on the MLS, Zillow, whatever, pull up their home, we'll zoom into comps. It just makes it super easy. I can record a 3 to 5 minute video and just have a video CMA done for them pretty quickly. I just really love that. I just think that's such a powerful way to show something like in person like that, but obviously on a video. So I love Loom. I use that a handful of times a day just because I feel like it's so effective.
I'm a big fan too, and that's Loom, Loom, and it's essentially a screen capture or screen record tool. And I've used this for walking people through an appraisal, like page 2, I call it the comp grid, where it's got all the grids. So it's got Loom has tools that you can use to highlight and circle and stuff, and you can kind of scroll through your screen. So you might be going through, like Jason said, you might be going through a market report. So you can kind of scroll through there. You can highlight some different homes that you want to draw their attention to. Or you can use it to, I don't know, anything. Walk someone through a contract that they're about to sign, and kind of here's paragraph 2, and here's what you need to know. Just anything, and it's got like your little bubble picture there So you're kind of talking them through it as you're explaining everything. So very, very powerful. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that one. And we'll have a link in the description below to Loom. All right, number 2. Who's other than you, obviously, who's a must-follow agent that you think others would benefit from by following them on the socials?
I really like what Ken Pozak is doing down in Orlando. He's just done a phenomenal job with like local and hyper-local content.
What is the name again?
Ken Pozak, Pozak, I think. The Pozak group, he's got a team down there. He's someone I really admire in terms of like the full breakdown of like an area or a neighborhood in terms of long form YouTube videos, and then he obviously cuts that up into a bunch of short form videos. So he's done a bunch of stuff on Orlando stuff, a bunch of Disney stuff, because obviously that's a big part of their world down there. He just has it's a high quality production value. It's kind of the top end. It's the best I've seen in terms of like good local content on video. So I think he's a must follow. I think he's fantastic.
Okay, Ken Pozak.
Yep.
I'll look up his information and we'll include a link in the description below as well. So, well, very cool, Jason. Man, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you carving out some time to collaborate with me, and honestly for opening up your playbook to share some of that secret sauce with your fellow agents. You've made it an intentional impact on your community, and I really appreciate your time. Thanks for being a friend and a guest on the show.
Absolutely, Cole. Really enjoyed it.